The atmosphere inside the debate hall vibrated with palpable tension long before a single word was uttered. Stage lights blazed overhead, reflecting sharply against the polished podiums, shaping an almost theatrical scene as cameras fixed into position. A quiet anticipation settled across the crowd, everyone waiting for the opening exchange. This wasn't simply another evening of politics. Everyone could sense it. The energy in the chamber carried something heavier, something dangerous, signaling a confrontation far beyond typical political sparring. Two formidable women, Ivanka Trump and Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, stood prepared to face each other. At first, the tone appeared controlled. Routine questions were met with carefully prepared answers. Ivanka projected her familiar calm, chin lifted, voice unwavering. She had mastered an aura of composure, an almost untouchable presence. Jasmine, by contrast, leaned slightly forward, her gaze precise, responding with conviction while keeping her words deliberately measured. It was tense, certainly, yet still manageable. Then, everything changed. Without warning, Ivanka's expression tightened. Her eyes narrowed. Her voice turned icy, and her carefully polished smile disappeared. When she spoke, her remarks moved beyond policy, law, and leadership entirely. They became a direct personal attack on Jasmine herself. Fixing her opponent with an unbroken stare, Ivanka stated in a cutting tone, "You're nothing more than a bitter outsider. You don't belong in the world we built." A collective gasp traveled through the room, a wave of disbelief. The insult wasn't clever or subtle, but blunt, dismissive, and clearly meant to wound. Ivanka hadn't simply disagreed with Jasmine. She had labeled her unworthy, as though Jasmine's very presence on that stage was a grave mistake. For a brief second, the entire room stood frozen. The host anxiously glanced toward the cameras. Some in the audience whispered. Others remained in stunned silence. The impact struck hard. Jasmine's face tightened almost imperceptibly. She did not respond with a shout or another insult. Instead, she stayed composed, hands folded, her eyes fixed on Ivanka. Yet beneath that calm exterior, something powerful stirred. The audience could sense it. Her silence was not weakness. It was the stillness of someone holding back. Someone who understood she possessed a weapon far stronger than a sharp tongue. The cameras captured every detail. Ivanka's confident posture, Jasmine's steady gaze, the uneasy murmurs moving through the crowd. You could almost sense the electricity in the air, ready to spark. In that instant, the entire dynamic of the debate permanently shifted. Ivanka believed she had delivered a decisive blow, placing Jasmine firmly in her position. Instead, she had unknowingly opened a door, one Jasmine was more than prepared to walk through. The tension deepened. The host, sensing the unfolding drama, pressed Jasmine for a response, eager to witness how she would answer. Would she retaliate with equal venom? Would she falter beneath the weight of Ivanka's attack? Or was something entirely different coming? Jasmine's lips curved into the slightest hint of a smile, not warm, not playful, but a knowing expression that sent a chill across the room. She finally spoke, her words calm yet precise. "Ivanka, you may call me whatever you wish, but deep down, you understand there is something you fear, something you do not want the world to know." The room fell silent once again. Ivanka's eyes flickered for a moment, a subtle crack revealing the composed mask she tried to uphold. It was enough for the audience to notice. Enough to realize Jasmine was not bluffing. The stage no longer felt like a debate. It felt like the opening act of a confrontation. A battle fought not with policies or promises, but with truths buried deep within the Trump family's past. While Ivanka believed she had cornered Jasmine with her remark, it became evident to everyone watching that Jasmine held the decisive card, one that could not only transform the debate, but shake the very foundation of Ivanka's carefully constructed image. Something was approaching. The audience sensed it. Ivanka sensed it, and Jasmine, seated there with unwavering eyes, was ready to reveal exactly what it was. The spark had been lit, yet the explosion had not arrived. The sting of the insult still lingered heavily in the air. Ivanka, having delivered her strike, sat upright, the image of self-satisfaction. But Jasmine Crockett did not lash out. She did not answer flame with flame. Instead, she chose something far more dangerous. She remained composed. This was not the calm of someone defeated. It was the quiet of someone honing a blade, waiting for the exact moment to strike, and everyone inside that debate hall sensed it. The host leaned forward, his eyes shifting between Ivanka and Jasmine, his voice carrying a nervous strain as he finally broke the silence. Congresswoman Crockett, do you wish to respond? For a long moment, Jasmine remained silent. She allowed the quiet to stretch, interrupted only by the soft rustle of papers, the creak of chairs, and a single cough from the back row. That pause, long and weighty, spoke louder than any sentence. Finally, Jasmine raised her chin and responded, but not in the way people anticipated. She did not insult Ivanka, nor did she defend her own value. Instead, her voice stayed steady, nearly quiet, as though unveiling a truth Ivanka already understood. Ivanka can call me what she wants. That does not alter the truth she fears. The audience gasped. The host stiffened, and for the first time, Ivanka's eyes visibly flickered. The word fear carried a weight that sliced through the chamber. What was Ivanka afraid of? What truth was Jasmine pointing toward? Questions surged in every mind, yet Jasmine provided no immediate answers. She allowed the tension to grow. Ivanka, usually so controlled, shifted in her seat. Her jaw tightened, and her hand gripped the podium slightly too firmly. It was subtle, yet the cameras captured it. To viewers watching, it was obvious Ivanka was no longer steady. The host tried once more, leaning closer. Congresswoman Crockett, you have just suggested something extremely serious. What exactly are you implying? Jasmine's lips curved into that same faint, knowing smile as before. Not mocking, simply perceptive. She returned her gaze to Ivanka and spoke slowly. There are matters this family does not want the world to witness. Matters that have been hidden, polished, and protected, but I know, and she knows precisely what I mean. The crowd broke into whispers. Some gasped, some murmured, some even leaned forward in their chairs as though the truth might slip from Jasmine's lips in the next instant. Ivanka's face reddened. She fought to hold her composure, but the strain was undeniable. Every camera angle captured her reaction, her narrowed eyes, her clenched jaw, the silence that roared louder than any denial. And Jasmine was not finished. She leaned slightly toward her microphone, her voice lower now, forcing the audience to focus closely. Secrets do not remain buried forever. The truth has a way of rising. Even if it takes years, even if it requires science to confirm it, the word science struck like a spark. Viewers straightened. The host froze. Ivanka, her mask of calm, cracked just enough for fear to flash across her eyes. Jasmine did not say it directly. Not yet. But the implication was unmistakable. She was not referring to rumors or gossip. She was speaking of something that could be tested, proven, undeniable. And then she uttered the words that would reverberate across the debate stage. The truth lies in the DNA. The room gasped as though thunder had struck inside the hall. You could feel the shock move through the audience. People shifting, murmuring, hands rising to cover mouths. The host nearly dropped his pen. Ivanka froze. For the first time that evening, she appeared truly cornered. Not wounded by insults, not shaken by politics, but confronted by something beyond her control. DNA. 3 letters bearing the weight of science. The undeniable power of evidence. No shouting could erase it. No spin could undo it. If Jasmine truly possessed evidence tied to the Trump family, then the debate was no longer about politics. It was about lineage, identity, and a family secret the public had never heard. The suspense was intense. The host leaned nearer to Jasmine, almost whispering, "Are you saying you have proof? Are you saying you know something the rest of us do not?" Jasmine did not hurry her answer. She leaned back, composed, her eyes still fixed on Ivanka, and instead of replying directly, she offered the kind of statement that chilled everyone present. Let's just say I have seen enough to understand the Trump story is not what it appears. And when the truth emerges, people will realize why she fears me. The hall sank into stunned silence. Cameras zoomed tightly on Ivanka's face, her lips pressed firm, her jaw rigid, her hands trembling slightly against the podium. In that instant, it was no longer a debate. It was a countdown. A countdown to the revelation Jasmine Crockett seemed ready to unveil. The room stayed thick with tension. Ivanka's insult had clearly misfired. Jasmine's steady resolve had unsettled everyone. Now those 3 letters, DNA, hovered like a storm cloud ready to break. Audience members leaned forward, captivated. Even the camera appeared to draw closer, as if the world itself was holding its breath. The host, visibly struggling to regain control, cleared his throat. Congresswoman Crockett, are you claiming you possess DNA evidence connected to the Trump family? It was the question on every mind, yet too intimidating to speak aloud. Jasmine did not waver. She let the words settle, then replied in a voice firm, steady, and strikingly confident. And it does not align with the truth the Trump family has shared publicly. A chill passed through the audience. Ivanka's head turned sharply toward Jasmine, her face flushed with anger, but also something deeper.
Fear.
Her lips parted as if to respond, yet no words emerged. She was visibly shaken. Jasmine leaned nearer to her microphone. She was not rushing, not unsettled. She was constructing each word like a drumbeat, guiding the moment toward an unexpected revelation. The report I possess does not originate from gossip. It does not originate from rumors. It comes from samples. Real, verifiable samples. Gasps filled the hall.
Samples?
What kind of samples? The audience longed to know. Jasmine continued. A hairbrush, a glass, everyday items, discreetly gathered, carefully examined and matched, not once, not twice, but multiple times. The findings are definitive. They cannot be dismissed. The host leaned back, stunned, as the audience burst into whispers. And then Jasmine dropped. Even though Jasmine never spoke the forbidden words, she did not need to. The science stood on its own. Then she shifted her focus to Donald. As for the president, his connection is verified. But even there, the data revealed unusual markers, unexpected patterns. Signs suggesting the narrative we have been given is incomplete. That fragments of the truth were concealed. The host let his pen fall. The audience buzzed with disbelief. This was no longer only about Ivanka. This concerned the President of the United States. Ivanka struck her hand against the podium. Lies, she cried, her voice trembling. This is disgraceful. You are sick for saying this. Yet her reaction only deepened the damage. The crowd had already witnessed her fear, her panic, her urgency, and Jasmine recognized it. She did not elevate her voice, did not appear unsettled. She spoke evenly, as though truth itself shielded her. You can shout all you wish, Ivanka, but you cannot shout away the truth.
The report exists.
Science exists, and deep inside you know it. The silence afterward was suffocating. Cameras closed in on Ivanka, her face flushed, her jaw rigid, her eyes burning with anger, yet also fear. For once, she lacked a polished reply, no sharp retort. She was cornered. And Jasmine was not finished. She delivered her concluding strike. The American people deserve transparency. They deserve to know who influences their leadership, who holds power behind the scenes. And when truth is carried in blood, no one, not even the Trumps, can conceal it forever. The room burst into turmoil. Gasps, shouts, stunned quiet.
It was.
All present. And at the center of it, Ivanka Trump remained motionless, exposed by a revelation she could not silence. The studio continued buzzing with unrest. The echo of Jasmine's statements refusing to disappear. The weight of what she disclosed was already racing through every mind. This was no longer simply about private secrets. It concerned authority, politics, the very image of America's most scrutinized family. For years, the Trump name had been wrapped in armor of wealth, influence, and control. Every detail, every image, every narrative was carefully curated. Barron Trump in particular had remained in the background, shielded, guarded, treated as untouchable. Now, with a single disclosure, that armor had fractured completely. The stakes could not have been greater. For seated in the White House was Donald Trump himself, the President of the United States in 2025. In that instant, the nation had to consider what occurs when the family of a sitting president carries secrets this explosive. The audience stayed frozen, clinging to each word. Some shook their heads, struggling to accept it. Others whispered to those beside them, already assembling the deeper implications. Yet Jasmine's message was clear. This was not idle gossip. This was about truth and governance. She leaned closer, her tone quieter now, yet sharper than before. The Trump family constructed their empire on an image of strength, unity, and tradition. But the DNA report in my possession reveals a different narrative. A narrative concealed, not solely to protect Barron, but to protect themselves. The host attempted to interrupt, but Jasmine lifted her hand slightly, holding the floor. If the truth regarding Barron's parentage had surfaced earlier, imagine the scrutiny. Imagine the examination. The family understood it could rattle their authority, their influence, even their political future. So they concealed it. They concealed it deeply. Gasps moved through the audience. It was not only the disclosure itself. It was the motive behind the concealment, now hovering like a shadow. And every gaze returned to Ivanka. Her lips were pressed tight, her breathing quick and shallow. She wanted to respond, to counter, yet her quiet spoke volumes. Each passing second, she remained silent felt like confirmation of the storm Jasmine had ignited. Jasmine continued. This is not merely about who Barron truly is. It concerns integrity. When a family possesses the power to influence government policy, to guide economies, to affect millions of lives, citizens deserve honesty, not refined falsehoods, not carefully crafted narratives. The truth. The words struck like blows. The audience felt the gravity of her statement. This was not a minor controversy. It concerned trust, whether the nation's most influential family had misled the public for years. Then Jasmine uttered something that drew the room into precise silence. The report indicates that Barron's story is not the one America received. And the Trump family's silence, particularly tonight, demonstrates how fearful they are of this truth becoming undeniable. Ivanka pounded her hand on the desk again, her voice fracturing. This is absurd. My family owes no one explanations about private issues. Yet her response only intensified the moment because the audience saw precisely what Jasmine intended them to witness. A woman trapped, enraged, and afraid. The political implications were unmistakable. Donald Trump was the sitting president. His daughter Ivanka was among his closest advisors and a representation of the family brand. If Jasmine's account was accurate, it would not merely damage reputations, but weaken the very base of their authority. The murmurs in the crowd intensified. What else had been concealed? What else remained unsaid? For Ivanka, this extended beyond embarrassment. It was her structure fracturing. And for Donald, it represented the one danger he could never completely command. The truth inscribed in blood. The stage had become a battleground. Jasmine Crockett had just struck the Trump family at its most vulnerable point. At the intersection where private realities and public authority meet, the studio had turned into something unforeseen, less a broadcast, more a courtroom with truth on trial. Ivanka Trump sat stiffly, her jaw firm, her voice shaking with anger. The composed, polished daughter of the president, recognized for her poise, had vanished. What remained was a woman pressed into a corner, her defenses collapsing in real time. The host attempted once more, his tone uncertain. Ivanka, would you like to formally address these allegations? Ivanka reacted sharply, her voice ringing across the studio. Allegations? These are not allegations. They are lies. Malicious, hateful lies designed to damage me and my family. My family is private, and this filth does not belong here. Her hands struck the table, microphones capturing every impact. Yet the more forcefully she resisted, the more fractures became visible. She was not solely furious. She was shaken. Her voice trembled. Her eyes moved between anger and fear. And the louder she spoke, the clearer it became. Jasmine had touched something genuine. Jasmine, by contrast, remained composed. She did not raise her tone, did not appear unsettled. She simply leaned forward and stated softly, "The truth does not require my protection. It defends itself, and it is already present." Those words struck like thunder. The audience gasped. Some leaned closer, others whispered anxiously. Ivanka paused briefly, her expression tightening, her breathing heavy. That silence, those few seconds when she struggled to respond, sounded louder than any denial she had offered. Then Ivanka erupted once more. "You are heartless, Jasmine. You are dragging my family, my child into your vile narrative. You do not care about truth. You seek destruction." Her voice faltered. The word family lacked strength. It carried desperation. That was the breaking moment. The audience recognized it. The cameras documented every second. Ivanka Trump, long known for her composure, was unraveling before them. The host hastily attempted to restore order, his words stumbling amid the noise. "We have to pause here for now. This is clearly a highly sensitive issue, but by that point it was irrelevant. The damage had occurred. The world had witnessed two realities simultaneously. Jasmine Crockett unveiling a secret capable of shaking the core of America's most influential family, and Ivanka Trump fracturing under its weight. Her anger only generating more questions than answers. The cameras faded on that striking image. Jasmine steady and composed, and Ivanka trembling with fury and fear. And that left viewers everywhere with a single pressing question. If this DNA revelation is genuine, what follows next? This was not simply another intense debate. This was a moment that split open the Trump family's carefully maintained image live before millions. Jasmine Crockett had drawn back the curtain, and Ivanka Trump's response only intensified the uncertainty. So now it turns to you. What do you believe this revelation truly signifies? Could this DNA disclosure alter everything for the Trump family and for the presidency itself? Share your thoughts below. This is a moment unlike any before. And your viewpoint matters because one fact remains certain.